Crypto is mature, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's been supportive of price in recent months. The market now has Bitcoin ETFs, institutional access, public company, treasury buyers, improved custody, and even traditional capital moving into the space from mom and pop investors. But at the same time, the old speculative engine looks like it's run out of steam. Liquidity is thinner in parts of the market now. Altcoin enthusiasm is decidedly uneven, and the easy money retail impulse hasn't been on board. They're busy trading semis. That's what makes Matt Hogan the right person for this conversation on trading trends today. He's the chief investment officer over at Bitwise Asset Management, one of the firms at the center of the crypto ETF revolution and digital asset allocation conversation. His work sits at the intersection of crypto, structure, institutional flows, portfolio construction, regulation, and so much more. So he's here to answer the question, what do traders care about most? What's going to drive the next bull market in crypto? Joining us now is Matt Hogan, the CIO at Bitwise Asset Management. Matt, let's start with the state of the crypto market here. Crypto in the ETF era. That's a good starting place for my book. It feels like the Bitcoin ETFs, IBIT, everything else around it has completely changed the game. It made access easier. It brought in more traditional capital, but at the same time, it perhaps led to the over-financialization of crypto. Has this ETF era changed how market participants view Bitcoin, broadly speaking?
I think it has changed how people view Bitcoin. It's gone from being primarily an outsider retail-led asset to one that is becoming a institutional-led asset. Like any transition, that transition is challenging sometimes. It's sometimes great and sometimes awful. And we're sort of working our way through that. But absolutely, it's changed the nature of the asset. It's brought down volatility. It's maybe tamped some of the upside, but I think also has put a floor on the downside to it. And it's changed the type of investors who are moving into the space. You're more likely to find a financial advisor buying Bitcoin for the first time today than a retail investor. So that is a big transition, and we're maybe halfway through that transition today.
One of the things that traders have been noticing is that the crypto demand does not feel as uniformly speculative as during prior cycles. Some people blame this on the 4-year cycle in Bitcoin, but you still see that institutional demand, as you noted here. Why are we going through another crypto winter? Is it just that 4-year cycle?
Yeah, to an extent, that is the answer, actually. It is just the 4-year cycle. If I can be more specific, though,
sure.
There are two things that are happening. One is institutions really are buying a lot of Bitcoin and a lot of crypto, right? Even with recent small outflows, the Bitcoin ETFs have brought in $60+ billion. We've seen money flow into digital asset treasury companies. We've seen money flow into crypto stocks. So the institutional bid is there. The reason prices are off is that despite that, the majority of crypto is still held by those retail investors. And they are, to some degree, wedded to the 4-year cycle. And when you look at the underlying on-chain data, what we've seen is some of those long-term retail traders sold into the start of this 4-year cycle. They're probably nearly through that selling process. But that's the disconnect. Everyone reads these news about how institutions are moving into crypto. That's absolutely true. But most of crypto is still held by retail investors. And if they're selling, those flows can overwhelm even strong institutional purchases. So we're in this sort of push and pull scenario. That's why you're seeing Bitcoin bounce up and down sideways as those two forces try to pull it in opposite directions.
So are we in a healthier market then because speculation is more disciplined, or is the waning speculative interest a warning that liquidity is not deep enough right now to support crypto for a broader bull market?
No, I actually think we're in a really healthy environment. I think we're in, I've talked about it being more of a grind than the previous cycle, which was more momentum based. I think crypto has almost become a contrarian asset. So let me give you some specific examples. We're seeing a real pretty solid floor on Bitcoin in the $50,000 to $60,000 range. I know that's way off of the $124,000 high, but as a percentage drawdown versus previous bear market cycles, it's much lower. Those previous bear market cycles, we would see pullbacks of 70 or 80% plus. So far, we've seen 50, still a major pullback, but a much shallower pullback. And then when we look outside of Bitcoin, what we're seeing is investors insisting on quality. So you have some new assets that have real high quality tokenomics, things like Hyperliquid, which are doing exceptionally well. And then you're seeing investors punish assets that have sort of poor metrics or are zombie chains. Those are getting smushed down. In previous cycles, you would see altcoins all sort of trade as one. What we're seeing now is some real differentiation between well-designed projects and poorly designed projects. That's a sign of a healthy institutional fundamental-led market. I think that's the market we're in, and I think that's going to be the market that defines the next 4-year cycle, which probably gets started in the second half of this year.
A lot of crypto, as you mentioned, particularly these altcoins, rests on broader risk appetite, liquidity, and whether or not there's actually real utility for a given project here. Bitcoin doesn't seem to be subjected to these same metrics at any given point of the cycle. Is Bitcoin a separate asset class within crypto itself, or do you just
Yeah.
view it all in one and the same bucket?
No, I actually think it is a separate asset class. I tell people that crypto used to be one asset class, sort of
Mhm.
everything traded on momentum and vibes. But in the future, it's really going to be two. It's going to be Bitcoin, which is chasing after the digital store of value, the digital gold market. That's a very large, important market. But it's very different from what's happening in the rest of crypto, which is trying to reinvent traditional finance, how stocks and bonds and dollars move. And that's really a revenue driven market. So you have this gold market and this almost equity like market. I suspect they'll trade very differently in the future, which is not how it was in the past. But again, this is a different crypto market. This is an institutional, fundamental led crypto market. So you're going to see, sort of, as you said, two different asset classes, the Bitcoin class and then the financialization class, which is everything else.
One of my favorite charts in crypto is the rainbow chart here. And dare I say, I want to go towards a provocative, maybe SEO friendly headline here. When are we going to go to the top of the rainbow? That's 400,000, 500,000 right now. Can Bitcoin go to a million? I mean, you don't hear that kind of talk anymore in people's short term targets where it's like, oh, yeah, no, Bitcoin's going to go up 100% this year. Again,
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think Bitcoin is going to go to a million. In fact, I'll walk through a case that argues $1 million is relatively conservative. Now,
tell
to
us.
answer your question before I
Yeah.
do that, I don't think, again, this is the same kind of momentum driven market we've seen in the past. So I
Sure.
expect the pullbacks to be slower and the rises to be more grindy in nature. But I think $1 million Bitcoin is conservative. Can I give you the pitch?
Tell me. Hear it.
All right. When people think about Bitcoin, they think of it going after the gold market. The gold market is a $30 trillion market, roughly. And the challenge with that is that to get to $1 million, Bitcoin would have to take like 80% of that market. That seems far fetched. But the thing people forget about the gold market is it's been growing really fast for the last 20 years. For the last 20 years, its average growth rate has been 13% a year. It's gone from 3 trillion to $30 trillion in the last 20 years. The reason that matters is if you're projecting out 10 years, the size of this store of value market is actually going to move if it grows at historical rates from $30 trillion to about $90 trillion. At that level, Bitcoin only needs to take about 25% of the market to be worth over $1 million a coin. I think that's a relatively conservative expectation over the next 10 years. So look, I think, at Bitwise, we think it gets to 1,000,003 by 2035. That's a pretty fantastic return from 66K. I think that's still in the cards. I think we're in a digital future. I think people are worried about debt and debasement. I don't think Bitcoin is going anywhere. So absolutely, I think we'll get there. Again, I think it'll be more of a grind. It's going to be a slow move, but that's still, what is that? Almost a 20x from here. I think it has that kind of potential.
I almost view some of our views around our crypto content when we do these trading trends interviews as somewhat of a contrarian indicator. Not for nothing, crypto really has been ignored in recent months. Folks love the conversations around the microns and the SanDisk and the Intels of the world because that's where the retail speculative interest is right now. Is retail going to have to come back to the space and start ignoring the AI trade for crypto to get its jazz back here? Or is this just going to be, as you point out, part of the reason why you think it's more of a grind rather than that momentum trade to the upside?
Yeah, I don't think it needs the retail speculative hype in order to get to those levels. I think it's more of a grind. I think the future of Bitcoin is about large scale institutions making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% allocations to the space. If they do that, there's plenty of capital to lift this asset higher. And whether you're looking at the major wirehouse platforms or sovereign wealth funds, or indeed even central banks, they're all on a path to eventually get there based on our conversation. So no, we don't need the speculative retail hype. Would it help if AI sort of leveled off a little bit? It would probably help on the margins, but I think the institutional bid is there. It will eventually lift this boat. I think that the best days of Bitcoin are ahead of it, not behind it.
Let's hope so. And maybe speaking my book there a little bit. But one thing that's a little bit harder for market participants to quantify is Ethereum. Bitcoin, you could say alternative to gold, to the dollar, it's a macro hedge. But Ethereum is smart contracts, staking, tokenization, stablecoins, DeFi. How should traders think about Ethereum today? I mean, at the time of recording this, it's nearly doubling up Bitcoin in the market. It's up about 11% to Bitcoin's 5.7% rally this Monday. Is it just a high beta Bitcoin, or is there a misunderstanding right now in the pricing?
No, look, I think Ethereum is going through sort of a cultural debate about what it wants to be when it grows up. The bull case for Ethereum is it's the leading platform for stablecoins and tokenization, with more than a 50% share of each of those two market categories, which are growing at an exceptionally fast rate. Right now, Ethereum doesn't have a clean, sort of discounted cash flow way to extract value from serving that important purpose. It's a little bit like Facebook before it monetized its website. I think that's the place Ethereum is in. But the bet you're making is that if most of the world's assets move over Ethereum in the future, it's not going to be worth 200 billion. It's going to be worth, $1 trillion or north. Really, the way I think about those altcoins for what it's worth is the whole space, if you exclude Bitcoin, the whole space on which the SEC says we're moving all assets on chain. That entire space is like $400 billion. It's very small. So just having broad-based exposure to that on the idea that it's the future of how assets will move over the world, it's like a venture-like bet. But I do think that's the challenge Ethereum is in right now. It doesn't know exactly how it's monetizing this dominant position in these fast-growing markets. That doesn't mean it won't figure that out in the future. For me, the reason I hold ETH is I bet that it will. So that's my bet. But right now, if you're honest about it, you have to admit that that's a little bit muddy.
What's the most important thing for crypto right now? Is it the Fed and the dollar, real rates, liquidity, fiscal concerns, regulation? What's in the driver's seat?
Yeah, look, I think it's still the 4-year cycle, to be honest. And I think we're going to get to the other side of that, and it's going to be bullish. It would help if we got the Clarity Act, but we don't need it. It would help if we saw more real-world adoption of stablecoins and tokenization rapidly. But I think mostly it's just a matter of time. Crypto still feels as inevitable, in fact, more inevitable than it did a few years ago to me. So it's mostly the passage of time. But for sure, look, it's really important that crypto makes a dent in the real world economy over the next 2 years ahead of the next presidential election. If I'm thinking about the sort of existential risks to crypto, it's that a future presidential election will install a hostile regulatory climate which threatens crypto. The way to protect against that is to have Wall Street build on it, to have real world applications. So that's really what you want to see over the next 2 years. There are a bunch of things that will help that: regulation, entrepreneurship, venture capital investment, etc. But that's sort of the metric you want to be monitoring to make sure that crypto is going to grow into the $10 trillion plus economy. I think it will be in a handful of years.
I'm thinking about the practical playbook here as we wind down the show, because there are traders who have gone through a painful drawdown. Some might be diamond handing this still. Others may have already given up, but they're looking to get back in. So if you're bullish on crypto, is that long Bitcoin, long Ethereum? Are you long the altcoins, the miners? Or if you're even cautious about this, do you maybe look for ways to politely sell some volatility in this space? I guess the point is, what do you think that traders should be looking for in terms of the signal that the market's getting ready to make the turn and that it's worthwhile to come back to crypto in a meaningful way?
Yeah, well, it depends on your time frame, right? If your time frame is long term, then actually the wrong question is the bottom end. The question you want to ask is the top end, Because if the top's not in, these are incredible values, right? So start focusing on the market potential and stop worrying so much about whether the bottom is 60K or 50K. It won't matter if there's another cycle and Bitcoin runs to a couple $100,000. Who really cares? So if you're a long-term perspective, I would focus on that question. When you focus on that question, is the top in? I think the answer is pretty clearly no, right? The world is increasingly digital. Regulation is increasingly positive. Stablecoins are increasingly real. I think the top has miles to go. For short-term traders, what I would focus on is holding the best quality assets that are showing real-world traction, whether that is in users, transactions, developer activity, revenue, and that have good tokenomics. I think those will be the early winners. So the thing I love to do in bear markets is look at the most resilient assets, the ones that are really showing business traction and in fact some price traction. If they can be resilient when the markets are selling off, they have a lot of upside when the markets turn. So I'm looking at things like Hyperliquid. I'm looking at things like Solana. I think Bitcoin is showing that. ETH, again, I think there are questions around, but it probably has a place in everyone's portfolio. But high quality assets in the short term. But again, the long term, I would emphasize, don't ask if the bottom's in, ask if the top's in. That's the most important question because that determines, where we'll get to eventually, whether it's 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 2 years from now.
He's been Matt Hogan, Chief Investment Officer at Bitwise Asset Management. I've been Chris Vecchio. This has been another episode of Trading Trends. You've been watching Tasty Live. Thanks for joining. Like and subscribe for more interviews.